world where we are told to be different. We are told to be ourselves and to put our happiness above anything else, but when we do these things, we are reprimanded and punished. We are shot down and outcasted by the very people who told us to stand out. However, being different and standing out is not always a choice. It's almost hard to imagine what it must be like to wake up every day in a body that is foreign and strange to you. A body that does not match what you know in your heart you are. An estimated 5% of the population is transgendered. That means nearly 365 million adults and children in the world identify in some way as trans.
My name's Kieran Bindus, Kieran Lee Rains, I go by sometimes. My preferred pronouns are gender neutral. Typically would be they, their, and them. I am without gender, agender, sans gender. It's a non-binary identity. I realized I was non-binary in probably 2011. It took me a little while to come out, and I had come out in 2012. Prior to that, it was just gender confusion. I knew I wasn't a boy, but I didn't really quite feel like a girl, and I didn't know there was any other options until then.
Even though I always knew there's something different, I first got introduced to the idea of like that there's more than one gender and that being trans is something that exists in like middle school. Like the second I heard of it, I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome, this is me. And like I started, you know, dressing more masculine, having short hair, and like from that it just was a big relief. And then I started going to therapy and like being able to talk and like materialize the issues and like how I was feeling. It's honestly just helped my mental health a lot. The more I'm able to reflect the masculinity I feel, like the better I tend to feel about myself.
Gender identity isn't something that just happens overnight. For the vast majority of trans people, it is not an epiphany that solves all their dysphoria and confusion. Transgender issues manifest at different times in the lives of trans individuals. It is a long and terrifying process that often begins in childhood. Children who from the day they are born are told not to act like a boy or a girl, or that their identity and interests are invalid and irrelevant because they are not stereotypical of their assigned sex. Children who are bullied and beaten for their gender identity and expression. Children who are too afraid to be themselves due to potential backlash from their family and peers.
I had to deal with like a lot of anger because when other people don't understand your identity, they tend to not always want to react in a positive light either. So I feel like I've changed a lot in being able to cope with people's reactions, having the patience to understand that people aren't going to understand my identity, and that I can't live my life angry about the fact that other people don't understand what I'm going through. I try to just kind of take a few deep breaths and relax a little. It's not that I'm afraid of needles, as a lot of people are. It's literally the fear of what I managed to do last week, where I believe I twisted the needle wrong a little bit, got a little blood action going on, that I could break the needle off or like inject myself wrong. So far it's been pretty safe.
And I'm going to be starting hormones within the next 2 or 3 months, and I've been transitioning since like probably 7th grade.
I struggle with the fight to have identities recognized, the right thing to say, to handle a situation with political correctness sometimes. I am usually hurt that my identity is under-recognized. I'm usually hurt that people make their assumptions either way, and I don't feel like it's always my place to just stand up and be like, no, you need to call me this way, I demand it. Because even when you say it once, even when you say it twice, if they don't understand the concept at all, there's not going to be much of a shift.
I recently found out that people in my hometown have actually been gossiping about the fact that like I am trans, and so it's just kind of a crappy feeling to know that like people are talking bad about you because of something you have no control over. The LGBTQ community at Kent has literally been life-saving for me. Like Pride, Kent, and Transfusion are awesome, and they've made such an impact on my life and have like really helped me come out of my shell and like be myself more. And like because of Pride, I actually feel like my life is influencing other people. I'm able to talk more about being trans. Like, one of my dreams is to someday go around and speak about trans issues and GSM rights, and I just feel like being here with this community and being able to talk to them has helped me better prepare for something that I want to do.
If you know someone who's coming out as non-binary, transgender, anything under that umbrella, the important thing for both sides to remember is that your emotions aren't the only thing in this factor right now. It's difficult to understand something that you're unable to relate to. Somebody who's trans or non-binary may have a hard, they've probably been ruminating about this for years. They've come to this decision. They've come to this ability to cope with the fact that this is how their gender is. And then you have to tell everyone and they uproot it. And you got to give that same time to the people you're telling, because you may have taken years to understand yourself, or this may be such a concept to you that it's so easy to understand because it's the only way you've ever felt, but then you have to look at the fact that someone else hasn't, and they may not understand it. And you just have to be patient, both sides, because it does get better. And if it doesn't get better with the people you want it to get better, just find new people, because someone out there loves you.